think part of the reason that you'd get the most hate when we had guests on that didn't go swimmingly is because Kyle and I are clearly younger. And so it's almost like they leave and they think, who was holding the reins on that whole thing? You know what? It was Woody. It's on his channel. He's probably controlling. He could have edited that out and he didn't. So that's probably the reason why, at least in part.
Actually, here's some perfect insight. Woody, did you ever dislike me?
No.
You never ever disliked me.
Exactly what you just said, where we had a 2 or 3 hour conversation. Like the last time I left, oh man, I felt like I disappointed Woody. I was like, yeah. I thought we had a good time, but at the like I still remember
we had a good time.
Me too, but I remember your face, Woody, specifically, like giving this look, and it probably wasn't even about me, but I remember that face and just like kind of feeling bad. Like
it's true, and that's why before when we were going, we couldn't get Woody's camera loading. I was like, it's important to me to see Woody's face. I take cues from his looks.
He literally said that.
Yeah, I did. It's actually true. Like that's like it's a thing. So I think it's no, I swear. It's you, but like it's not really you. It's not really. They don't really hate you. They're just defensive because they think that you hate them. Like I was pretty sure you thought maybe you were better than me or you were better than, and that's just the vibe you gave.
I don't think so. Do you know something?
Did you ever dislike anyone from Epic Mealtime that you had met?
I don't think so.
Because I specifically remember after the multiple times meeting you, we would leave and we would have like a download of the people that we were with and stuff like that. And it was very like, what's with Woody? What's his problem? Like,
I can't tell if are you serious?
100%. I'm being serious with you. And I would say that like one of my abilities is like people analyst. And like I get like, I feel like I have like just insight sometimes. And like when I left those scenarios as a person who's pretty good at it and I'm telling them like, no, he's just that I don't think he hated you. I don't think he was mad at us or anything like that. I think you're just making that up. A part of me was like, I wonder if he doesn't like me or if he's mad about something. And so if people think that you're mad at them, and they don't get exposed to you often and learn that that's kind of just how you are, you automatically build a resentment. So people sit down and have like a 2 hour, 3 hour encounter with you and they don't know you fully. And they're like, I don't know if he really liked me.
I think this is like the time we got Kyle to do all those bench presses. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, when we convinced Kyle to like work out on the show so we can make fun of him.
His form was wrong.
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah, I don't know why he agreed. But like this, what you're talking about, Harley, Dick experienced this to a T last episode because I remember doing the episode because I was excited. I'm like, oh yeah, I love Dick's show. I'm gonna have him on, chat, laugh. It was a great one. I ended the call and was just like, that was great. People are gonna love Dick. And then I listened to your show the next week, expecting to hear like, hey, I was on the PKA podcast. Check that out. We had a good time. And you were like, do you guys ever wake up the next morning after getting drunk and have no idea what you did and feel guilty? Well, yeah. I went on a larger podcast and I think I did that. And I was like, oh no, you killed it and you're feeling bad.
Yeah. Well, that was also because I lied about knowing who Kyle was.
See, I was so excited about that because I brought it up. Like the question was asked so basically last episode, obviously Dick knows who FPS Russia is, but he didn't notice that that's who Kyle was. And so in the middle of the episode, I think one of us said,
I brought up FPS Russia out of nowhere, like apropos of nothing for no reason. Cause I'm drinking. I was like, oh man, that guy was so awesome. I'll just inject it into this conversation. So I have something to say. And I think you said, oh, Kyle's FPS Russia. And I heard the words coming out of my mouth before I could stop. Like, yes. It's like, oh, no, dude, you're 36 years old. You're still lying for people think you're cool. What the hell's wrong with you? Come on. Now you can't take it back. You obviously didn't know, and now suddenly you know how many people are going to listen to this and know you're lying, because it's always like a significant amount of people can tell you're lying on the internet. 2 or 3 guys, you're sitting at a table with 6 people, you can pull out a lie and then you go one by one. Who's going to challenge it? Nobody. Sync that down, but 50,000, 100,000 people hear it, they all know you're lying.
Dude, I am already a little nervous about how many people are going to agree with you guys on the like Woody gives off the "you're an asshole" vibe all the time. They're going to accept it as true.
What did you say about Dr. Jordan Peterson?
They're all like
More like asshole Jordan Peterson. Am I right? Yeah.
You know what? Moving forward, all you need to do is do everything that is exactly the same, but make sure you remember at one point to look at whoever you're with and be like, I'm really happy to be sharing this moment with you, by the way. If you just say that, people will be like, oh, I'm reading it wrong. He's not. That was all me. I'm the asshole.
I've worked in many companies with different departments. People didn't get that vibe.
Have you ever seen the HR folder, though?
No, but I'm a likable person. I swear, people like me.
Oh, we're all likable enough. I can't wait until next week.
Likable enough? That's how they described Hillary Clinton.
Well, she wasn't likable enough. You are likable enough. Yeah.
Well, she wasn't a popular vote.
Like just saying,
it's always that.
You know what? I appreciate you, and I think your perspective has value. Just say that. I think Harley's right. That won't make future guests wildly uncomfortable at all.
They'll probably be like, whoa, I thought you hated me. Good to know.
Or it'll come across as extremely condescending. They'll go, what the? Just right in my face?
The maternity ward is locked down, right? The kids have like bracelets on them. The alarm systems go off everywhere. You cannot steal children in America. It's very, very difficult. On the other hand, my mother-in-law is staying with us. She's very sick. There's no security on old people at all. If you want one, you can go to the hospital.
Yeah, but nobody wants an old person.
Nobody wants an old person.
Can you imagine, like, if I'm laying in a bed dying when I'm 80, and like a masked man comes in with a gun, he's like, "What do you got? Where's your good shit?" I'm like, "Oh, have you come to whisk me away? Thank God. Like, I'll go anywhere you say." Like it's got to be anything would be better than that.
I really wish they could care for old people. Like, we've got a guest. Like, there's a mother-in-law suite we're not using. Let's go get some mother-in-laws.
Oh, I just had another one of those cringy, like your shitty memory thing having to do with an old folks home. When I was like 7, I was with my mom at my great-grandpa's old folks home, and I was walking around the whole place all day. Man, looking back, those poor old people, they're all dead now, guaranteed. That was 20 years ago. But I walked around all day with my shirt like this over my nose and my mouth, looking around like I'd be like, "Oh, hey, Grandpa." And like at the time I was just a kid, so I was like, "God, it smells weird in here." And so I was just covering my nose. And my mom had to keep telling me, like, "Taylor, that's incredibly rude. Stop." And it's like, "Oh yeah, you can smell it. You die too." Like no, I covered it up.
That's like when a man with a turban was standing behind my dad in line, and my sister like pulled his sweater, and she was like, "Look, Dad, a genie." She's like 6 years old, so it's like, but my dad just like, "Shut the fuck up."
When I was 5, or no, I guess maybe even younger, like 4, I was at a daycare, and my mom dropped me off and whatnot, and I was playing with all the other little kids. And when she came back to get me, she was like, "Did you have fun, Taylor?" We're walking out to the car. I was like, No, I don't want to leave. I want to go back in there and play with those little brown bears. And she's like, "What? Those little brown bears?" And I'm like, "Yeah, those little brown bears right over there." And it was just 4 little black kids that I'd been playing with. And I thought they were little brown bears. You're going to burn in hell, you piece
of shit.
Oh, I also, when I thought that the word lumpy meant ugly, and so I loudly shouted at a deformed man when I was 6 at a grocery store that he was a lumpy man, and my mom had to tell me, "Taylor, we're leaving." I didn't get well. I caused some problems for my mom. I was a leash kid. I got put on a leash in malls. Were any of you leash kids? You were, Harley?
No.
Did you have
I was a
leash body
kid.
Leash, or did you have
I was
a
a
wrist
leash kid. Yeah, wrist leash, and I actually was notorious for breaking off the leash.
Me and you there. Yeah, the wrist leash had the wrist leash was a one and done thing because it takes no effort at all for a little child to wriggle out of a wrist leash. It was when I went to the Black House White Market or fucking Nordstrom or whatever with a whole vest like I was going skydiving. It was like being a dog where I just start running and just get pulled back. They had to close a Macy's once because they had to keep a Macy's open because I was so dedicated to my hide and seek game of being inside one of those circular clothes things.
Oh, those were the best, man.
Yeah, I love
really
hiding.
get serious thinking done in those things.
You could you could get a lot done in those.
I wonder how Taylor would have fared under my mom. Like, I don't think you'd have been a runner. That you beat it. Like, she beat the hell out of someone. For that.
For
Like,
those
we
of you who
didn't
don't
run.
know, Woody took some licks as a kid.
Oh man, yeah. I just like the thought of trying to get away from my mom in a mall scenario or something. Like the consequences were too high. You wouldn't want
risky.
that.
I did something once where I must have been 7. My brother was probably 5. You know those wagons, like those play school wagons that you pull that like you see moms walking down the street and there's 2 kids in there. I took one of those and we had an enormous hill in my backyard when I was growing up, and a giant willow tree popped right in the middle of it. But it was the only tree there, and the woods were hundreds of yards back. And so I told my brother we were gonna have a fun ride down the thing. What I didn't tell him is that I would not be joining him, and I was gonna tape him up so he couldn't get out. So I taped him. I taped his arms together. And, you know, the only thing you have to do as the older brother, because obviously if he resisted, even like 5 years and 7 years old, he would have escaped. All you have to do as the older brother is be like, yeah, it's going to be so much fun. Yeah, it's going to be great. Can you believe it? Yeah, we're going to have a good time. And then he was all taped up. And I remember standing there with my hand on this wagon, ready to push him down the hill to see what would happen, like on this fucking play school thing. Oh. And I hear my dad from the balcony behind me, Taylor, do not let go of that wagon. And I was like, and I hear immediately the telltale signs of an adult running quickly down the stairs. Boom, 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 boom. Like, all right, it is now or never. And so I let go of it. And immediately,
I did not know where this is going.
Yeah, and immediately it starts careening down this hill. Boom, 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 boom. Like my brother's bouncing up and down. And I hadn't aimed him that well. I was like, he's just gonna go straight into the middle of the fucking yard. What could possibly go wrong? He'll slow to a stop and be fine. I'm not gonna get spanked. No, I just let go of it, and he goes straight into that willow tree as
he hit it
20 miles an hour. Not 20. It was fucking quick. And he, obviously not strapped in, hits the tree.
Whoa,
bloodies his forehead. No, I taped him up. I didn't tape him into the wagon.
So he can't protect himself, basically.
Correct. Correct. It was hindsight's 2020 on all this. I've had a lot of time to mature, but there was nothing more scary than seeing him hitting that tree and then turning around and being like, oh no, like that wasn't worth it.
Oh yeah,
and now he's here. And that was, I never taped anyone up and pushed them down a hill again. Well, suffice it to say. But that was, oh man. Do you guys do stuff like that with siblings?
Yes, I have to go to the washroom, guys. Don't talk about anything interesting while I'm gone.
Okay, we won't.
No, I had a sister, so it was like a no hands policy. I don't know if I ever had to learn that, but there's a 5-year difference between us, so we're like
You're
different.
older?
Yeah, I'm older. So she always just seemed like a baby to me. I don't know. I remember when she was very small and couldn't speak. I never got to kick the shit out of a brother when I was a kid. Sounds like fun.
Good times. But as long as you're the oldest.
Yeah.
Did you have like more of a protective instinct toward her at all, or were you not that kind of older brother of like, oh, stay away from my girls, my little girl?
No. That's I was doing my own thing, and she's a tomboy, so my dad had the same plan as you, Woody, except she was down with it. She wanted to get into sports and do everything else too, so she was pretty well occupied, and she was always carrying a bat. So I don't think she needed anyone to protect her. Still doesn't. Like, my show has this huge ongoing feud with Maddox, and it continues. We're in the trademark opposition stage now, but Maddox has this network of total shit bags, like shit content, shit podcasts, and guys who are just complete assholes that will have entire episodes dedicated to everybody in my family, going down through them and like saying how they're shit. They're like doing shit, like going, my girlfriend's a teacher, and they're going into like how awful they think she looks and all this horrible stuff about her, like making up fake
Can
accounts.
I get in on this? Am I allowed to have a feud with Maddox?
Oh yeah,
that guy. He looks like Mitch McConnell to me.
dude, it was so out of line. But the day one of these guys fucked up enough, and he got his YouTube and his Patreon shut down, and it was the best. Like just this piece of shit losing $800 a month, like out of like because you can't hit you wake up every day and you want to plant your fist through their head.
What was it that got his channel and Patreon?
I don't know, abuse, harass. Like they don't tell you. I asked them and they don't tell you why they shut stuff down. But I think like having shows purely dedicated to going like people's real fucking names, pictures of them, like saying where they work, going into like great detail about I guess they don't like that. They don't like that at Patreon. I don't know.
I had a similar experience. It was Keemstar. So Keemstar doesn't really talk about me anymore, but he used to make up stuff about me constantly. And like the worst part about it is he'd do like 3 things that were false and 1 thing that was true. And then like he'd have proof of the true thing and people would think the other stuff was bad. And I always wished I got the same treatment other people got. Like, cause when he does drama, he usually just like reads tweets poorly and shit like that. I'm like, man, why doesn't he? Oh yeah. Keemstar's drama alert. Anyway, there was a day, it would have otherwise been a terrible day. I had $6,000 worth of chargebacks at Woodycraft. Like someone had just sort of ran up a bunch of stuff and it doesn't wash out because like every chargeback would cost me like $35. So it wasn't like I broke even, like the money came and went. I'm out like thousands. And it was the same day I think Keemstar lost his channel. And I was so happy. Like it was a good day. I was still fine. I was like, net.
What do you mean lost his channel?
net.
What do you mean lost his channel?
Yeah.
So I hope I have my facts right. I might not. I'll put that out there. But my understanding is Keemstar, like a long time ago, bought a network, cinema type thing, like a content aggregator network or something. And
is Woody quiet?
Yeah, I can't hear you, Woody.
Shucks, I'm sorry.
Oh, you came back. You're louder now.
That's better.
Getting better. Okay. Well, all right. So anyway, Keemstar had a network, and then his fatal flaw, if I have the story right, was that he charged people to join it. You know how like people would get with Machinima or Youst or whatever, I don't know, whatever's big broadband. And you're not allowed to bill them to let you in. But people were kind of like, hey, for $50, they could have like a different style page. They could make thumbnails. That used to be a thing that only partners could do. And but YouTube found out he was charging, and suddenly he was like banned off of YouTube for life. So he would make a new channel, and then that one would get banned. He'd make a new channel, and that would get banned. And each of these channels would get some momentum. Like they'd get up to like 60,000, 150,000 subscribers, and then he'd start again from 0. And I think it was just one of those iterations that happened on that day. So he didn't like do anything in the moment that would get him banned. It was because at the time he was permabanned from YouTube, but they've since let that go.
Yeah, I never actually had a personally bad or personal encounter with Keemstar myself.
I already have the shit test of having Dick's book, Men Are Better Than Women, out sometimes when a new girl comes over just to see, because you can always tell the cool ones because they'll look at it and go, and they'll pick it up and go, oh, that's pretty true. And then they'll close it and they don't fucking care. But you can tell the uncool ones because they'll immediately open it and take it as seriously as can be. Like, do you really think that women
Charlie,
pick out shoes and they care about them more than their children? Like,
What do you
yeah,
drop
course
off
not.
there?
Sorry,
Oh,
Woody, go ahead.
Wow. Is my audio back?
There
Yeah.
it is, yeah.
You lay out the premise of this book for Harley?
Oh, men are better than women? I mean, I feel like the title, I feel like this is the only book where you can really judge it by its cover.
It's literally a picture of a man with a greater than sign and then a picture of a woman.
I actually I went on a little Google tear before the show, and Googled right before, and like the book came up, and I saw the Dr. Phil thing. I was like, oh, this guy, this guy. And then I went, and it's so crazy. You're saying like before, like you had like brought up the feud. Like it's actually like a lot of what comes up when I Googled you, you know?
Yeah.
And full disclosure, I met George before, and he was nice to me. And I used to read his website like crazy back in the day. But the one thing I found out that when I Googled is that the popular opinion was that I have to check out the show you had done with him and now continue to check out the show you do now. And that was like from a Reddit AMA you had done not too long ago. And it's interesting. I myself, I actually went with Epic Mealtime. I had a whole trademark dispute and everything in the early ages of the.
What happened? I need some advice on trademark disputes. What happened with yours?
Yeah, the number one tip is don't get into it.
Okay.
But actually, what happened?
What's the number two tip?
It's cool because like I could talk about it. I could talk about it now because the guy that I had the dispute with, and that we used to have bad blood with, like over it. It was 7 years ago, so now we've kind of squashed that, and we have mutual friends and we see each other. We've hung out a couple times, but ultimately we did something. It got very popular, and I was the face of it. And I did a lot of, I did the filming and the editing and the producing. Mm-hmm. And he was the designer. He came up with the logo for Epic Mealtime. And we just, moving ahead, when it came down to making an agreement, there was a dispute because I felt like because I was physically present, I felt like I had the right to more power because we would be deciding my fate. Whereas if the whole thing messed up, nobody would even know who he was. So like I felt like it wouldn't be fair if it was just 50-50. So I wanted more decision making, not money even, just decision making. And it just led into a dispute that, ended up being like 2 years, and it was resulted in just basically being settled. And ultimately, like when I got into it, at least, I never wanted to be in business or deal with lawyers or anything. It was strictly creative to create something. Yeah. And it's like the worst thing is that like once you like bring lawyers into the game, you take away the humanity of the discussion. And
oh yeah.
If I could go back, I think, and I'm a really, really, really difficult person to argue with. And like, if I could go back in time, I would probably approach things in a way that it wasn't so lawyery, or even when at a certain point I would probably want to swallow my pride and approach it so that it's not so lawyery, because the humanity comes out, and and with that you like are left with the lawyer's choices, and these two lawyers will go to expensive dinners and discuss what they'll do with their clients while you guys are both paying for that.
Right.
And maybe at the end of it, maybe this person pays for it or that person pays for it, or you both pay for it. But like, it's something where it's like, if there's any way it can be approached off the record and spoken about, then that's the best way to do it. And sometimes there's just no way that could happen, And I don't know much about your scenario, but like,
well, it sounds like I'm the other guy in your situation.
Yeah, I read that into that as well when I was reading about it. I was like, oh, interesting. It's like,
yeah,
related
but Dick's not
more.
The logo designer, much more than that in the context of it.
Well, no. I was just saying that I was the nobody in the relationship, I guess you'd call it. But it was a podcast, so it takes a tremendous amount of effort from both sides. In this case, I don't even think anyone would have thought of it again, except Maddox filed for the trademark as he was the owner. Then he had to refile it again because that was fraudulent, they determined. So he had to refile again as it's just something brand new that he's starting. And the only reason I'm pursuing it is because a listener happens to be a trademark attorney. And he was like, hey, that's bullshit. You want me to help you out? I was like, yes, dude, I do. Like, yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. The trademark was for, as I understand, the name of the show you guys did together?
Yeah. It was for The Biggest Problem as a podcast. So I thought, oh, so what, he's just taking this and doing it with somebody else? That kind of sucks, but,
Well, so he wants to continue doing the show under that name?
Yeah, well, that's what I assume.
And you feel like you started with him, so like if he's just going to trademark it and own it, like there should be something in that for you to an extent, right?
Yeah.
In some regard?
Yeah.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah. Sorry, I
But-
didn't mean to derail the podcast with this legal shit.
No, I actually,
No,
I personally, I think I would find this interesting because when I was reading about you, it was one of the first things that came up, and like a lot of people were talking about it on Google. So I just figured maybe it is an interesting thing. So I apologize if it isn't an interesting thing, but I find it curious. I'm just like a little curious because I guess you got to ask yourself, like, it'll cost money to pursue what you want from it. Will that, what you pay to pursue this, what you get from it in the end, will it be worth what you paid to get it?
I got a number in my head where it will stop being worth it. And when I get to that, I'll stop. But until I get there.
Yeah.
Are you imagining that Maddox probably has a number in his head as well about
Probably a lot
this,
lower
and
than
that
mine.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
and that number is going to be lower than yours, and so
Yes.
it's kind of a war of attrition.
But what's like once you have I mean, I guess you feel you have the right to, like, I guess, like, half ownership of that, right? Because you guys started that podcast together.
Right.
You
Yeah.
never made an agreement. You guys never made a.
There was no signed contract or anything like that. There is a volume of emails going back for 6 years talking about how we're starting this and splitting profits and work and stuff like that. I don't know what any of that means.
Do you
But it
have
exists.
do you have a single email or text message or anything? Because, like, for example, like in my scenario, every case, like, because it's not only one like time I've been sued. I've been sued actually multiple times.
Yeah.
It's in every case, like show it. Like, if you have something to show, it goes such a long way. Like, I've had, like, I had specific percentage numbers stated in emails, and I've had things where I said, like, I stated something a particular way in an email, and it went the whole way of saving or proving a point. So if you have somewhere, if it's like, yeah, man, we're in on this 50-50.
Interesting.
Like, that's all you need.
Okay.
Like, that's all you need. In my case, it was me and the guy, my buddy. His name's Sterling now. He actually has a YouTube channel, and I have no bad blood with him to the point that I would say his YouTube channel is called Stat. He's going to be like under PUBG pro gamer, I guess. He's going to, like, a competition. But we had signed a document together that was just the incorporation of the company. So it was just a document that we were on together. So we were automatically, that was the only documentation. It was half-half. If you have, like, any sort of, like, document that you guys signed incorporating something or whatever, or anything like that, like, that's just, that stuff goes a long way.
I'm curious what you're looking for. Like, would you just like him not to name the show that? Or are you looking for, like, half his future revenues?
I'd be fine with not naming the show that.
Okay.
That's fine.
That seems kind of fairish. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, doesn't seem like there's a lot to be had from the half of future revenue thing.
Even if I mean, the show still gets money, right? Doesn't it?
Yeah, the bonus episodes were in fact still selling before he started just giving them away. So,
and you guys have brands in there with, like, affiliate links, no?
Yep.
So, like, there is
money
that
Dick skipped over something there that is really important to this, that you were selling bonus episodes, obviously, and you got, half of that money, I assume.
Yeah.
Without any agreement from Dick, Maddox went in after the show broke up and just made all the bonus episodes free. So it's basically like going in and being like, all right, I unilaterally am deciding that neither one of us are making money from this anymore.
Yeah,
even though it was a joint venture.
It's more of, I don't know, at some point, like, shit like this becomes more about principle and it being public than about money. Because people, in my experience, people like that behave like that with everyone they work with, and until somebody stops them. And I genuinely feel like all the fan support that came after that obliges me to do something about it. Like, it wasn't just a show that we had, it was a show that everyone had. And what's happening with the trademark is wrong. So I'm taking the goodwill and the money, and I'm doing what I think people would want to be done with it. If that's wrong, both will dry up. But until they do, I think it's a lot more than money at this point.
Until the end, it's spectacular PR for the
it's great. It's a great story, I guess.
Well, money, like for myself, when I was going through it, I had never looked at the Epic Mealtime bank account.
Yeah.
Ever. I never looked at it. And even when going through that, I never looked at it. Like I have a business partner who handled all of that. I was just like, handle it, make sure nobody fucks this up, and I need to figure out how to make the best show next week. And it was just about the show. And it was just like, my whole point was like, no one is going to fuck with my shit. And this is my shit. And I would assume that you have like an element of like, that's my shit. Like I helped create that. So you have that attachment, and then you have this audience of people that are like, that's your shit. Like, that's not right, you know? And so it's like the perfect storm of things that like, it kind of goes back to like the drama thing. I mean, you know, people love drama. They really do. Like, I mean, there might be like people that bounce back and forth between your podcast and Maddox's to just be like, I wonder if some shit's going to be said.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's actually like it's a crazy scenario to be in, and I wish for you to have a short one and one that you're happy with the results in the end. Myself looking back now, I don't regret anything. You know, I was happy like standing up for the things that I wanted to stand up for, but I'm also happy now that I don't have an enemy out there. It's kind of like, that's also a shitty feeling in itself. When you're like,
you're like stressful than people realize. Is my mic okay? I not change.
Yeah.
Okay. So I started Woodycraft. It's a Minecraft server. I don't know if you guys know anything about it, but it was really successful. And
I knew all about it.
Dick was a platinum member. Yeah.
So anyway, my partner, I think at the time I didn't realize how important he was. It was his idea to sort of start it. It was his idea to kind of like make it a thing. And but when it came time to actually run it and grow it and like do the work, that wasn't his cup of tea. He was more of an idea man, and I was sort of the guy who grinded away, the doer, right? You know, and he started as the doer. That was going to be his role. Like he had more experience with the hands-on at this stuff, and you know, it just like my standards were really high. Like, no, I want it to never be done. I want it to always be this. I want everyone to
microphone and your video that your standards are
insanely high. Yeah.
Are they not good? I can't hear you.
No, they're good.
We're getting Woody live from a La Quinta Inn in La Jolla. Yeah.
So I just wanted it to be really, really great, and that he didn't have the same passion. So it was I ended up buying out his part of it. It was so stressful for me. Like I barely ate. I think I was talking earlier. I lost like 14 pounds in 2 days. It was all I thought about. I couldn't sleep.
2 days. Did you lose a foot?
Did I say 2 days? I meant 2 weeks. I lost a pound a day.
You lost 2 weeks in 2 days too.
Anyway, it ate me up. Like it was how I imagined like an actual divorce to be like. It was a really, really, really unpleasant experience for me. And I feel like both of you guys went through something just as intense.
Yeah. Way to take these really serious lawsuits and compare it to your Minecraft server. No, I'm kidding.
You know what, Harley? Your lawsuit reminds me of this time this little douche tried to order diamond armor and his mom's card got declined. And it's like, it's funny.
So
yeah. See, the trick to avoiding all of this is to just not become successful. Just stay in my lane of just no relevance. Nobody cares. Hey, did you hear that about Taylor? No, nobody cares. Nobody fucking cares.
It's actually like it's genuinely like it's something that was told to me early on, and I really truly believe it. Just seeing through other people's experience that like it is a sign of success if people start coming for you, or you find yourself in these scenarios. At a certain point, it could just be bad business, but you know, if it's worth it for people or something to fight over, then, you know, you're doing something right, or you're a part of something special.
That's what I've learned from Trump and how much he's attacked so viciously. He's like, yeah, I get it. He had to be.
I mean, I guess you're like almost getting as much hate as Trump, right?
Yeah.
Almost. Like remember, like right after the MSNBC and NBC and all the news stations finish their like Trump hate hour, they go right on to Dick Masterson.
Yeah. That's what I gotta shoot for. I get it now.
I'd love to see you do another thing where you go on a. Have you ever considered going back on a show like Tyra or that, or are you just totally blackballed? Like, is that out of the question from a show like that?
Oh, I think blackballed. Yeah, they get that it was a joke and they got had, and they don't want to have anything to do with me anymore.
There's got to be people like enough
have
time.
a better sense of humor about it. I wish they'd be like, you know what? There was this one time this guy came on. He pretended he hated women. Let's reminisce.
It's enough. The time has passed enough that it seems like a new show would come around where they're like, hey, this episode got good ratings or whatever they think. Let's bring him back on this time, knowing that he's. Like that.
I'll do it again. It's fun. I love it. Like wrestling makes billions of dollars doing this. Come on, join the party, guys. Talk shows.
Can you imagine sitting across?
Say whatever.
You could just be sitting across from that chuckle fuck Jimmy Fallon saying ridiculous things, and he'll have to just sit there and go, You hate women. Me too. Yeah, like because he agrees with everything everyone says.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be great. I'd love that. You watched those, didn't you, Harley? Of Dick on the Tyra and the doctor.
Yeah, I watched the Dr. Phil ones.
That's the better one because Tyra's not smart enough that you don't trust that you ever really had her.
No, she kind of hit on me. It's because she was attracted to me. That's why. Oh yeah, this is a bombshell. I've never talked about this before. But on the commercial, I'm 100% serious. On the commercial break,
I believe it.
I went out there. And I sat, she's got that little half circle of a couch. And I kind of sat in there and did my manspreading before it was called manspreading. Like this was just how a man sat back in the 2008s. I sit in there and I've got the glasses on and she goes, a producer came and she said, are you going to wear those glasses? And I was like, yeah, man, that's kind of what I do. That's my thing. I wear these glasses. And he goes, okay. So Tyra leans over and she goes, why don't you take those glasses off for a second? And I took them off. Like I gave her the little like glasses down a little bit, looked around, and she goes, "Oh wow, you have real pretty eyes. Why don't you take them off?" And I was like, okay, all right. And then the producer came over right after that, and he goes, "Hey, can you move away from Tyra, please? You're sitting too close. We need you to sit all the way around on the semis. Like she needs an entire couch to herself." And I was like, okay. So what I got out of that is that she's attracted to me.
I mean, how could you not?
Yeah.
It's just so
We once had a guest on here who claimed he fucked Katie Couric. Ryan Twin 20.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah, he told lies all night long. He fucked his cousin too, apparently. That one we latched on and assumed it was true. Yeah.
I mean, I would rather go with the Katie Couric lie than the cousin lie.
It was
I don't
a legendary
see the
episode. People should rewatch that one. So we had this guest, and he did all week long. I collect topics, and he did this YouTube thing where he said, "Hey, just call me. If you need anyone to talk to, just call. Doesn't matter if you're feeling up, down, whatever." So I'm like, I'm going to keep this fucker's phone number. We're going to call him during the show. So we do. We call him up. And, he just gets to, at first, we thought he was cool for, 5 minutes or so. But then he gets into this, homophobic stuff. And he's got some racist stuff going on. And then he's, sleeping with his cousin. And Kyle is playing this guy like a stringed instrument. Getting more out of him. More out of him and more out of him. And eventually we hung up. We all burst into laughter. And he hated me. He very much hated me. And he would upload videos of him just looking into the camera and breathing through his nose like this. I was supposed to be intimidated by that. It was the greatest.
Harley, do you get people playing you your videos a lot? I would imagine that happens to you.
Once upon a time, I think in the earlier days, it would I would go places and people would put it on and be like, "Right, you?"
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but nah.
Whenever we meet,
because I edited the first 150. no matter what, when I hear me or if something's being edited or someone puts it on, I'm like, turn that fucking guy off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
there's nothing worse than when someone I know finds out about PKA and then will just like pull it up in public, and I have to be like, no, this is not. We're at the fucking bank, asshole. Like,
you're saying some crazy shit, and you're like, oh, you had to watch like literally the 100 hours of broadcasting before that to get what I'm saying. It's really weird.
Yeah, I'm doing a character. The character is being a bad person. Don't believe what I'm saying. Yeah.
Like if it comes up that I have a YouTube channel or something, or that once upon a time is popular, and my wife is always like, show him the dog collar video. Show him the dog collar video. Get out your phone. And it's like, no, not that one. No. It's kind of funny.
That is the one that I would show if it was your channel. It's basically Woody putting a Great Dane dog collar on and then barking loudly to see when it kicks in. And it like your foot was tapping. It was so powerful by the end.
Like, because what happens is you make it go off and it shocks you, and I'm like, all right. But if you keep misbehaving, it gets louder. And I'm saying this through giggles and stuff. Like, I can hardly contain myself. And, like, you bark the second time. And at the end, like, my leg is kicking and my head is jerking and my hands are like this. And it was
not the video that I
really
share with
horny.
people, that's not as horrible. Like, because I would never send them, like, a video game video of mine to be like, this is what I was like in 2010. Like, because nobody wants that. But the one I send to them when they're like, oh, but you did the YouTube thing. Yeah, send me something. Do you remember Hurricane Sandy? That fun thing. As that was happening, I took news footage from a Hurricane Sandy news reporter who was talking about the destruction and everything, and I edited it over the footage of New York being destroyed and the day after tomorrow to all the different things of oh, look at the horror as people are dying and whatnot. And in retrospect, I should have waited until Hurricane Sandy had passed until I posted it, because people, it was a little insensitive. People said, but that's the one I go to because and I'd rather them watch that and be like, man, what a piece of shit, insensitive person, than open up a video and have me in 2011 being like, hey, I'm using the Scar S on shipment today. Like it makes me want to scream. That's so uncomfortable. But you must be pretty happy you didn't jump into the YouTube thing, Dick, right?
Oh, yeah. I got that same thing where if whatever I hear before, like even stuff I heard last week, because we do like an hour podcast and I'm trying to explain how I feel about whatever, like current news events. I'll listen to it and just go, God, what a fucking idiot. That does not make any sense. It's like, it's just rambling bullshit. Like I can hear when the panic takes over and my mouth just starts going and I just go like, it's another failure. Like you blew it again. You had it. I can hear it right now in my head, even trying to explain this. Like it's so easy to sit there and write it out. It's so easy to sit there and obsessively write a comment on Reddit or on YouTube and just delete over and over. But talking in a way that's unedited, I sound like such a fucking ass all the time. I'll want to pull out one sentence and just go, that one was good. That one sentence was good. Delete everything else.
You should take up a heavier hand in editing.
They like I don't know what it is. I'll be like, Canadians aren't real people, so when there's like a disaster in there, it's not as big a deal. And they'll like tweet me that the next day, and at first I don't even recognize it as something that came from me. It's like, oh, that's pretty fucked up. Oh no, it's like every day I wake up after a blackout because of PKA, and
well, we have like running jokes about that shit where Kyle will say that Irish people are the spawn of Satan and are the worst, and Irish people deserve everything they got. And all that. And so like, that's a joke from like a year ago. And so the people who are watching then, they're like, oh yeah, when they say people aren't people unless they're American, they're joking around. But we don't ever explain that. And so I'm sure like 4 episodes ago when we're like, oh, there was a horrible tsunami in Africa. It's like, how many people died? They're not even real. Fuck it. Like, and it just comes off as really shitty.
Senegal. It's just.
There's lots of ridiculous things on it. Yeah, it's fun. It is fun. It's just so uncomfortable to go back and listen and think, oh, like that memory that was in my head in 8th grade. Did you guys have 8th grade middle school graduation? Or did you just have high school? So I remember 8th grade graduation. I was
sitting next to the hottest girl ever because we had our last names were the same. And now I think back on it. I can remember how hot I thought she was. And I'm like trying to not remember right now because I know she was like, 13 or something like that.
It's like the same thing when you're at the mall and you like see a girl with a great ass and then she turns around or her mom walks up and you're like, oh, what kind of person are you?
What were you saying, Harley?
I actually completely forgot. Probably wasn't important.
It'll come back up. We've got time, as you know, on this podcast.
I immediately got interested in when you said that when you were checking a girl out.
As soon as you heard hot 13-year-old, Harley's mind went zoomed in.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I.
God forbid.
I don't
go that joke. I
don't go by preschools and places, obviously, because that's what pedos do. But I'm saying if you're at the mall and you see a lady with a nice ass, what you think is a lady with a nice ass, like standing at Chick-fil-A, and then she turns around and she's got braces on and, like a spelling bee champion shirt or whatever, you just feel gross. But at the same time, it's like you had no idea before she turned around. That could have just been
from behind, she looked like a 16 or 17-year-old.
Yeah. Like
I can recall being at like old like convention, like VidCon things, like like 3 years ago, and like someone coming up to me and like talking, and me being like, "How old are you?" And they're like 17. I'm like, "Get away from me." I'm like mad at like security that it's like an open bar thing at night, and there's like kids at these YouTube things. I didn't go to VidCon this year.
What about bonobo monkeys? Would they, if you give them a bikini, would they just sit out by the side of the pool? Have we tested that?
No.
It's funny that we
use bikini and run to the truck section of Toys R Us.
It's funny. It's funny that we used bonobos as an illustration before, being like, see, the females play with the dolls, the males play with trucks, and it's also like, yeah, and they all fuck each other. Like the families fuck each other. They all fuck each other. The men fuck the men and the boys and the daughters and the moms, and it's like a crazy orgy. And we're like, look at that. Boys going for the truck, the girls going for the doll, just like and it's like, yeah, but everybody's sucking that monkey's dick. So like there's way more at play here than what we're
there's definitely more at play than the I mean, to be fair, I've watched a lot of monkey videos. I'd put my monkey watching video history on the internet up against the aggregate of your three, and I would come out handily in favor. I've watched every monkey. I watch so many monkey videos. It's goddamn ridiculous. But
what is the attraction to monkeys for you? Because I know a guy who's also really into monkeys, and I never got it.
Me too. I'm into monkeys also.
I think they're cool and they're neat. And when I was 2 years old, it's honestly like my first memory that is in my head that solidified. When I was 2 years old, I was obsessed with gorillas and chimpanzees and monkeys, and I loved watching everything on TV about them. I had so many monkey toys that my second birthday, it was their second or third, one of them, my parents rented a monkey man to come to my birthday with two young chimpanzees, Kirby and Kimmy. Yes, those were their names, Kimmy and Kirby.
They could have clawed your face off.
And little girl. I realized that I didn't have that knowledge, and my parents apparently didn't even fucking they couldn't. That wasn't around, but they could have gone to the library and looked it up, I guess. But they brought monkeys to my birthday party. They let them out of the cages, and I remember just the first time in my life, ecstasy, euphoria, seeing these monkeys just doing playful things. Like I'd already opened my presents, and so like Kirby, the young male monkey, I like handed him one of my presents, and he like looked at it and examined it and dropped it, and I'm like, oh, he's like thinking about playing with it. And then I got a little Kawasaki, those little tiny four-wheeler things that kids sit on and you go like 2 miles an hour. I was riding that around, as the monkeys were dancing and having a good time. Kimmy, that cunt monkey, she comes over, knocks me off of my Kawasaki, and drives it away.
I call my girlfriend cunt monkey, by the way. It's just funny to hear you say that in real life, because like it's a cute nickname I have, cunt monkey. But anyways, continue.
So this is cute, huh? This was a cunty monkey, not an endearing one in any way. So for the rest of the party, I basically had to do the phone thing before these smartphones were even around, where I'd be playing with Kirby. And then when Kimmy would come around, I'd be like, oh, don't look at Kimmy. Don't just play with something else. Pretend, let her have the Kawasaki. And I don't know why that didn't traumatize me into not liking monkeys. If anything, it just made me like them more.
You got bullied by the monkey?
I got bullied by one of the monkeys. The other one was super fat. And so, it wasn't too bad. If anything, it taught me, a little bit of character. When a monkey pushes you off your Kawasaki, what do? You go play with your other monkey.
Yeah.
I love monkeys because they're so interesting because there's just so many things where you're like, wow. Like I saw a bonobo video where it's like they put one in a cage and he's in a cage and he's there, and then they have another one and they put all of this food in the middle of that cage that is accessible by another bonobo. So one of them is locked up, and in an adjacent cage is a pile of food, and the other bonobo can go in. The other bonobo would go in and use this kind of somewhat advanced mechanism to open the other door for the other bonobo. Even if it was a stranger bonobo, he would go and open it and open the door, and then they would split the food. And they always did that. They always shared. And if there are closest relative, it's interesting, and you think of them and you think of us, they're the one ape that doesn't kill. They don't have any violence in their culture or their society.
They do solve a lot of stuff by fucking. You're right.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting just to be maybe ideally we could be more like bonobos. Split the food, open the cage. Is it a boy or is it a girl? It doesn't matter. Fuck them.
It'd be more fun to be like a gorilla, to be like that harem running gorilla. That's the grand poobah of Monkey Town, in my opinion, is the wild silverback that's got that harem of bitches who know exactly what they need to be doing to keep that guy's attention. And all he has to do all day, all that dude has to do all day is be on the lookout for adolescent, smaller gorillas. And then if they wander too close, you just go and use your gorilla strength and beat the shit out of them and probably tear their balls off, because that's nature. That's what they do. That's what I would want to be. I wouldn't want to be a bonobo. Chimpanzees do, and gorillas, I'm sure they do as well. All primates are pretty vicious in a lot of ways. If you fucked with a bonobo,
literally
it could
pulling
fuck you
the
up.
testicles off.
I saw a video.
There's multiple videos of chimpanzees doing that. There's a video where a chimpanzee wanders into the territory of a rival gang, and it's almost like a movie where, and of course, David fucking Attenborough is reading about it and describing it with no sense of wonderment or interest. When you're watching a monkey tear another monkey apart, you should be like, oh, he's ripping his testicles off. Look at that, his finger's fucking gone. And David Attenborough just sits there and talks about the wondrous trees and bugs experiencing this. It's just, I don't know. He bothers me in some ways. But basically, this monkey ran in. All the other monkeys descended as a horde, Mad Max style, pulled him down, and the main monkey grabs his balls and just rips him off. And then they all start digging into the monkey in the way that zombies do, where they just kind of put their fingers like this on the stomach of the monkey and tear it open and start
Where
eating
is this
thing. This is YouTube.
No, but where did it happen?
Oh, I have no idea. Fucking Botswana? I don't know.
That's
wherever.
Crazy. Chimps are apparently 4 times stronger than your average male.
Yep. They're infinitely stronger.
And it's just crazy because they're half your size.
It's mythological now.
No, it's true. Think about it. It's muscle density.
Yeah. It's leverage. Their arms are much longer than ours, their forearm. And I watched some video that explained, for some reason, that torque. I don't know, some physics word. Whatever they get from that long arm really contributes to that too. I saw a video
of silverback gorillas, and they were in a line, and they were just kind of going, and they were in the jungle, and there was a couple of photographers taking their pictures right nearby, and one of the apes was walking by one of the gorillas, and it literally casually grabbed one of the photographers and kept going. and literally dragged him 10 feet like he was nothing. And the photographer was just lying there getting dragged. And apparently it's like, it's their demonstration every now and then when we get really close that they're like, I could fuck you up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just think about that for a second. And they like left him there.
I saw a tiger do that.
Yeah.
And it was a tourist at a zoo. I wish I had the words for it. This tiger, he like bit the guy from the back of the neck and he dragged him as he walked. The tiger's stride didn't change. The tiger's neck, he wasn't like, dragging it, like struggling with it. It was like he had picked up a small branch and a dog was playing fetch.
It's like
He
picking
like
up a
carried
water
it up a
bottle.
tree, no problem.
Yeah, this guy, and I think he broke into like a little gallop or something with the human dragging. It was a smallish guy, call him 145 pounds, but it was nothing to this tiger, and that was very impressive. That tiger was stupid strong.
I
could take
about
but
animals having superhuman strength is that you just compare. Let's talk about core competencies. The core competency of a human being. I can Sudoku around anything in the animal kingdom. I've done one Sudoku in my whole life. Put the most difficult one in the world in front of me, and put the most simple one in the world in front of any creature in the animal kingdom, and I will blow it out of the water. That's our core competency. We see patterns and we solve problems better than anything else in our own way. Meanwhile, we're weak as fuck. The strongest human being, Brock Lesnar, if he had to fight a female chimp that weighed a third of him, that chimp would fucking kill him. It wouldn't be close. It wouldn't be like, man, Brock really got a good swing. No. You know what happens when you hit a human being in the face? They go, oh, fuck, I need to weigh options here. You know what happens when you punch a monkey in the face? It goes, oh, I don't know what to do other than to tear scrotum and eyes from face and groin. Like, it doesn't know anything else to do. So it's just, that's what I'm impressed by with animals, is like they're so much more impressive in their physicality than us, even though we could be bigger, we could be taller, lankier. Doesn't fucking matter. A little tiny monkey or a little sea creature, like they're so much stronger than us because they have to be. Like, imagine a monkey out there with the upper body strength of Homo sapiens. Do you think we could scurry up into fast enough? Fucking fat chance.
Every time he swings from branch to branch, he'd be like, if it just had like a regular human upper body.